All right. Well, good morning, everyone. One of the things I want to talk about today when it comes to research is looking at qualitative research versus quantitative research. You also hear it referred to as qualitative data and quantitative data. And data, as we discussed last time, is any of that information that you gather through the research process. But that data can take different forms, as we said. It can take form of numbers, or it can take the form of words and so forth. So what we're looking at today is the difference between qualitative research or qualitative data and quantitative research or quantitative data that we'll collect. Okay, so we'll take a look at this, which again helps us understand the research process, and when we read research or trying to do research to help us answer and make decisions, it's important for us to know what kind of data we want to collect, okay? Because that'll impact the way that we look at that data. So quantitative versus qualitative. Quantitative, think of the base of the word is quant, like quantity. So quantity deals with amounts. So when you think of amounts, you think of numbers, statistics. So one simple way to keep them separated and differentiate between the two, what type of data you're going to collect, is if you remember quantitative is going to be numbers and deal with statistics and so forth. So it's kind of the basic way of keeping them in mind. So quantitative, you're going to collect information that can be transferred into numbers or is numbers, okay? And then you can run statistics on it. One of the things that you'll see is quantitative research uses deductive reasoning. It's a deductive approach. You use the literature that happened beforehand, research that happened before, to help kind of come up with explanations. So you create your hypotheses based upon those previous research that existed. So that's called deductive reasoning. You're starting by collecting information and then deducing what you think is going to happen or what you think the explanation is for that. Okay. The other side of it is qualitative, and here we're looking for themes, trends that come out. So a lot of times when we ask questions and we're going to collect data that deals with qualitative data, it's going to be, we're going to get words, we're going to get sentences, we're going to get paragraphs, and then we have to go through those and look for trends or themes that exist. Okay, and that's what qualitative research will do. So a lot of times I ask open-ended questions. An interview would be a qualitative research, because while we're interviewing that person, we're taking notes, writing down the information, or taping it so that we can later on go back and take notes and write down the information. But we're looking for the themes or trends that come out of that. This one uses inductive. It's an inductive approach. So we observe and interview, then we look for answers that exist and explanations from those observations. Okay, so in this case, we're doing kind of the research first and then looking for it. And a lot of times, qualitative research happens because there hasn't been a whole lot done in the past on this particular topic. And so we're going to get new information to help us kind of make the hypothesis in the future. The other one starts kind of with the hypothesis, and then we do the research. Okay, and this one starts with kind of the research and then comes up with a hypothesis to it. Okay. Some other differences. Quantitative, usually going to deal with a large sample size. You're going to get more people participating in a quantitative research, because a lot of times it's very easy to collect that data, and then you can get more people involved. Think about surveys. We can hand out a survey and get that data collected in a relatively short period of time, having a lot of people do it, and so it's okay to get a larger sample size, and you oftentimes need a larger sample size when you're doing quantitative research. Now, some differences to that would be in exercise science realm. A lot of times it's hard to get subjects to complete their protocols So if they're requiring you to ride a bike and take your temperature constantly throughout the thing and increase your speed, you're not going to get a whole lot of people. So in that case, you might see smaller, but usually when you're looking at surveys and a lot of the stuff that we do, it's going to be a larger sample size. Qualitative research, you're going to usually use a smaller sample size because it takes a whole lot more time to collect that data. Okay? And so the in-depth interviews, extensive observations, it's going to take a whole lot more time for the researcher to do, as well as for the people that are participating as your sample. So you're going to get a smaller sample size. So quantitative, again, numbers, think of it as oftentimes a larger sample size. And qualitative is a smaller sample size because you want quality information, okay, from that. And again, not to judge quantity versus quality there, but the idea is that you're going more in depth with those individuals. Quantitative research, prefer a random sample, so everybody in a population has an equal, supposedly, opportunity to be a part of the sample, because that gives you a better representation of your population, ideally, which reduces sampling error, which can throw off your results, right? So you prefer a random sample because you're getting a larger sample, but you want to everybody have an opportunity to be a part of it. Qualitative requires purposeful sampling. Since we're using very few people, we want to go to those key informants, those people that have the information that we need, and get it from them. Okay? And we'll talk about some strategies here, but you want to make sure you go and talk to those individuals that definitely can help you gather information to kind of create your hypothesis of what's taking place in those observations. So you don't want to waste your time going to people that don't know. Okay? You want to go to those key informants. Quantitative researchers use instruments that can easily be reduced to numbers. So a lot of times we'll get, think about those faculty evaluations that you do at the end of the semester. And usually they'll give a question like, my teacher was organized, and you rate your professor from a 1 where they're very unorganized to a 5 where they're very organized. Okay. Basically, one of the things that you can do, just like said there, rating a 1 to a 5, we can make those into numbers. Now the numbers are arbitrary. We could flop them back and forth if we wanted to, but we can use those numbers to represent that particular score and do some calculation. We can convert it to statistics. So a lot of times you'll see, those things are called Likert scales. We use those Likert scales because we can run more sophisticated statistics on those Likert scales, because we can convert those words, very organized to very unorganized, and convert them into numbers. And so we can do those things with qualitative research. So think about anytime you can get information into numbers, then we can run statistics, and it makes it that qualitative research. So their example, I was unsatisfied or very unsatisfied to very satisfied with this course. Okay, we can take that and make it into numbers. We can find an average, and we can do those type of things with it. Qualitative is while we use an instrument, but that instrument's going to yield us words, and those words aren't easily turned into numbers. We can't turn them into numbers because we're just not set up in that manner. So please describe your satisfaction with the product. So now each individual can tell us how satisfied, unsatisfied they are, and why, and then we can look through that information and find themes, trends that come out, and then we can report those themes and trends. Quantitative research is done when participants are not available for extensive interaction or a long period of time. Time and money are limited, so a lot of times we do that because we don't have a whole lot of time to do that. Or the audience that we're going to present this information to wants hard numbers. They want to know percentages. They want to know what the, if there's a significant difference between, variable A and variable B on this one particular thing. So we're going to have to give those hard numbers. That's quantitative. We can run statistics and give those hard numbers. Oops. Where's my cursor? Qualitative is done when little is known about the subject, because we said it's inductive reasoning. So we're going to start with very little and gather information. Then we can potentially make our hypothesis and look. Or the group that we're researching is very closed or secretive. And so we kind of have to infiltrate that group and then do our interviews and get that information. Based upon one of the things, I'll stop here to give you the word of the day. Remember last time we talked about what the word of the day is. And so today's word is hurts. Okay, so now you've gotten 2 words towards that sentence. Today's word is hurts. Okay, so hopefully you're watching these videos. Which type of study is this? So just kind of thinking through this. A series of laddering interviews were conducted to examine the factors influencing school choice decisions of a sample of student athletes. The study respondents were all members of a football team of an NCAA Division I school. And so we get these responses like, the school has better training facilities, I can improve my skills, I can be the best player, I like the position coach, we worked well together, and so forth. Okay, so what do you think it's going to be? Well, a couple clues to look at. First off is the idea of interviews. So a series of laddering interviews. So as soon as you hear interviews, think qualitative research. Okay, and then you can see that it's in the second box. It says represented ladders and coding. When you see coding assignments and you see that the codings are coded in 2 words, again, you're seeing this is qualitative. They're looking for trends. The school has better training facilities, so it's a facilities attribute according to how this one was coded. And then C is consequence and V is value. Okay. The second one here is, which type of study is this? This one says, what makes consumers switch or join mobile networks? And you can see network coverage 18%, dissatisfied with level of service 17%, better tariff 15%. So what's happening? Well, they're taking those words, making them into percentages, and so you're looking at more of a quantitative study. We're looking at numbers. Okay, so I hope this helps give you. And one other thing to keep in mind, there is also a combination of the two. In the other video that I suggest that you watch, it talks about the mixed methods, where you do some quantitative, where you're getting the numbers and things can be converted to numbers, where you can get that. But then you also have some open-ended questions in there where you're going a little bit more in depth and you're getting a little bit deeper understanding about people's feelings and those trends that are taking place. And so with that Florence County research project I mentioned last class, that's one of the things we did. We got some quantitative information and data, and then we also got some qualitative. So it ended up being kind of a mixed method approach to it. So I hope this helps, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some basic statistics next class, so that you can have an opportunity to understand what to do with these numbers when you get them. So